Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to plunge into the concepts, really reshaping how brands connect with all of us. And today we're diving headfirst into something that's really making waves, vibe marketing. Now, this isn't just about, new ad formats. It feels like a bigger shift, a seismic shift in storytelling. We're talking content that's fast, super emotional, and often actually assisted by AI. It's quite a departure from the old playbook, right? Moving past just the functional stuff, the product benefits. It feels much more about conveying who a brand is, what's its feeling.
Exactly. It is a big shift. It's recognizing that, people have so much choice. They're buying into lifestyles, into values, not just features anymore. The vibe itself becomes a kind of shortcut to loyalty. It creates this connection, almost tribal, where the brand's identity feels like part of the consumer's identity. So yeah, in this deep dive, we'll unpack what vibe marketing really is. We'll look at how some leading brands are absolutely nailing it, and, well, where others maybe stumble a bit. We want to analyze its impact on storytelling, how it's changing online connection.
Okay, so if the hard sell, the traditional pitch, is out, what's really at the core of vibe marketing then? You mentioned cultural fluency, energy. It sounds less like ad copy, more like, I don't know, an atmosphere, like a mix of motion, music, color, tone, all designed to make you stop scrolling and just feel something. Is that right? Less info, more immersion.
That's a great way to put it. Immersion, definitely. And it's interesting. Anthony Cardio recently called it emotionally driven, frictionless storytelling that aligns with the social mood. Frictionless is key there. It's about tapping into like the collective feeling, not just shouting a message out there. Think of it more like a whisper, an invitation, not a command. It treats the audience like participants in culture, not just passive targets.
Right, tapping into the social mood. I get that speed and authenticity are huge here, but how do brands keep that authenticity? Especially when trends move so fast online. Isn't there a danger of just, chasing the latest thing and losing your own identity?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's a really crucial distinction. Cultural fluency isn't just spotting a trending sound on TikTok. It's deeper. It's understanding the nuance, the subtext, maybe the irony, or the genuine emotion behind why that trend is even happening. It's about speaking the audience's language so naturally it feels, I don't know, like an inside joke, not like you're being sold something. And that approach is so vital on platforms like TikTok, Reels, Shorts, these short form, super immersive spaces. Attention spans there are just seconds, right?
Yeah.
You need that immediate, almost visceral hit to cut through everything else.
Okay, so visceral impact, not the hard sell. What's the ultimate aim then? Is it just about being liked, or is it an invitation?
It's definitely an invitation, yeah. The goal isn't to shove a product at someone. It's more about creating a moment or a mood, maybe an experience that the viewer actually wants to be part of, like join this feeling or join this community or we get this feeling too. Sort of bypasses the logical brain, doesn't it? Goes straight for that emotional connection. Makes the brand feel linked to how you want to feel.
Which sounds great, but achieving that, creating that vibe, and doing it quickly, consistently, how are brands actually doing that? Because the speed and scale seem, well, new. And the engine behind it, the elephant in the room perhaps, is AI, right? When I started looking into this, it was fascinating how AI isn't just helping, it's really driving this whole thing. I mean, think about tools like Runway. You can feed it a mood board, an emotional prompt, and it generates video, like whole video clips, no massive crew needed. Or Copy.ai, you give it brand guidelines, the vibe you want. Maybe playful, maybe calm, and boom, text variations hitting that exact note. And Midjourney for visuals, crafting images that give you an instant emotional cue. Hyperreal, dreamlike, whatever the prompt dictates. It's not just about being faster, is it? It unlocks totally new creative avenues at a speed that's just unprecedented.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And vibe marketing just thrives on that speed. It lives in that environment. You can test different looks, different sounds, different little story angles, almost in real time. You get audience feedback instantly, tweak the content. That agility lets brands react to micro trends, shifts in mood, almost instantly. It means the vibe can iterate maybe daily, constantly getting refined based on what clicks.
Okay, that speed, that agility sounds like a massive advantage, but does it have a downside? I mean, does that velocity, if you don't have a solid strategy behind it, just lead to creative messiness or just incoherent noise? Fast and flashy, but ultimately.
That's a really critical point. Because yes, AI gives you speed, but it demands, I think, more strategic thinking, not less. And it completely changes campaign planning. We're moving away from those rigid quarterly rollouts, the slow ones. Now campaigns can be dynamic. They can evolve week by week. You make subtle creative shifts based on the current mood online or real-time feedback. So if a certain look or sound starts blowing up, An AI workflow lets a brand pivot almost overnight. You don't wait months for a big production. That flexibility is, well, it's a direct result of these AI tools. It's transforming how content gets planned, made, and adjusted.
Right. Let's make this concrete. Talk about some real examples, the wins, and maybe the fails too. For mastering the vibe, Duolingo on TikTok immediately comes to mind. Their whole unhinged owl persona, Duo, the mascot, acts like this relatable, slightly chaotic friend. Jumps on trends, threatens you about lessons, engages in really absurd, self-aware stuff. It feels authentically chaotic. It tacks into that online vibe of shared anxiety and absurdity. It's weird, fun, totally culturally fluent, and somehow perfectly on brand for them. They just embraced that slightly weird energy, and it really landed.
It really did. And then, on the flip side, we've all seen it, right? The cringe-inducing corporate trend-jacking. You know, when a brand jumps on a meme or a dance way too late, or it just gets the tone completely wrong. It feels so forced. It just screams, "Hello, fellow kids." That attempt to be relevant just highlights how out of touch they actually are. Because they're missing the why, the nuance, the irony, why people connected with that trend in the first place. It's not just being late, it's the lack of authenticity. It shatters instantly. People spot it a mile off. They want genuine participation, not just a brand wearing a trend like a cheap costume.
Yeah, that's a perfect contrast. Okay, another win. I thought Notion's Gen Z rebrand was brilliant. Before, Notion felt powerful, yes, but maybe a bit utilitarian, like a tool. But they shifted the feel completely. They brought in these soft, almost minimalist visuals, used lo-fi beats that just make you feel instantly calm and focused, and these really calm, almost meditative voiceovers. It totally redefined what productivity could feel like, turned it from a chore into something almost artistic, calm, focused. It changed the whole emotional vibe of their platform.
Exactly. And connecting that back, these successful brands, they're not just doing marketing in the old sense. They're genuinely vibing with their audience. They get the emotional landscape. Yeah. They create content that fits into it, not disrupts it with a loud sales pitch. They're speaking that unspoken language of their target audience, building a connection that's deeper than just name recognition. It's about building this subconscious affinity, so the brand feels like the natural choice.
So, okay, we've explored what it is, how it works, seen some examples. The big question for anyone listening has to be, how do you find the right vibe for your brand? Where do you even start? It sounds like it has to begin with really understanding your own brand first, right? Your core values, your voice, and then really digging into your audience's psychology. Who are they? What do they care about? What content makes them feel something?
That's absolutely the foundation. You have to start there. And the critical question, the one to really wrestle with is, how should people feel when they encounter your brand? Empowered, calm, curious, inspired. What is that core emotion? Once you nail that desired feeling, then you can start reverse engineering everything. I mean, everything. The sound design, the motion graphics, even tiny things like where subtitles appear, the font choice.
Yeah.
All working together to create this complete, cohesive emotional arc that leads to that feeling you want. It's understanding, how certain colors hit us emotionally, or how a specific beat triggers nostalgia or focus. It bypasses conscious thought. Every piece matters in painting that emotional picture.
And it sounds like once you find that vibe, you can't just set it and forget it either. Adaptability seems key. The goal isn't static. It needs to evolve, stay fresh, tap into what's happening culturally, but without losing its core identity, like a living expression of the brand, always shifting slightly, but always essentially itself. Makes you wonder what the next stage looks like, doesn't it? As AI gets even smarter and culture keeps accelerating.
Definitely. So back to the initial question. Powerful trend or just hype? I firmly believe it's a powerful trend, especially when it's done thoughtfully, strategically. It really is emotional storytelling, just amplified massively by AI. And it is fundamentally changing how brands connect online. It's not a fad. It feels more like a foundational shift in building resonance, building real connection in this digital world.
So if your team is thinking about how to sharpen your brand's voice, how to really deepen that connection with your audience in 2025, Studio 86 can actually help you discover and own your unique brand vibe.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.